again, wonderful followers and soon-to-be followers, or just casual listeners on your way to a shitty job in a shitty place in a shitty city.
Or a nice job
or
in a nice place,
nice
city.
Yeah, in which case, definitely check out our resumes on LinkedIn. Fuck that letterbox shit. But today's film is a very popular reboot of a dystopian classic, Mad Max.
Yeah.
Fury fucking Road. I think that was the official title. Probably only got a European release. I'm gonna let Omar lead this one because you would not believe how hard I had to lobby and campaign and hack his fucking election to make him watch this shit. So
I remember we were hanging out one day, me, Dom, and our other mutual friend Kadif, and our other mutual friend Armand. One day, just hanging out and smoking hookah or doing whatever we were doing.
It was hookah.
And he put that shit on in the background just to try and force the issue. And none of us were watching it except for him. And he was like, "Oh man, this part's dope.
This part is dope. Every part was dope."
We were like, "Yeah, cool, man." But yeah, it took me a while to watch. I ended up watching it on a plane.
On a tiny ass screen.
I believe it was Delta.
Shout out Delta. For them ATL headquarters, all them jobs and buddy passes.
Yeah. So if you want to throw me on first class the next time I fly, Omar A. Torres.
Throw us on first class.
Us. Omar A. Torres.
Preferably to Cuba or Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Or LA.
Yeah. Yeah. Screw Qatar Airlines or whoever.
Oh.
What was that?
Now that we've alienated them.
Mariah Carey.
Emirates Airlines.
Emirate. No, was it Emirate? I thought no, it's Qatar because they were the one that do the shit to women or whatever. They subjugate women or something.
I think America does a lot of that too. Speaking of subjugated women.
Yeah.
So this film, Mad Max, pulls no punches about the future of women.
Yeah, in their dystopian future.
In our dystopian future. I personally don't see what the problem is about empowering women. I'm a volunteer of the local WIFTA chapter, Women in Film Television, Atlanta. And I personally like to see them exceed. I think diversity is good. I think, if we can allow women to reach these levels of power to make it a more, friendly and positive cultural environment for everyone. But men, particularly a certain demographic of men, won't point them out because I think they're a protected group now under the stupid Facebook algorithm of censorship. But basically, what's the worst that's going to happen if we have empowered women leading this world? I mean, okay, let's think about it when men had all this power. Let's reverse that to women. All right, so guys, we get harassed at work sexually, not so bad. Maybe we get passed over for a promotion or two. So we end up hanging out with our buddies doing, sloth work. Still not so bad. Let's fast forward a few hundred years. Maybe we become sex slaves.
Yeah.
It's still not that bad.
Which sounds pretty decent, but is probably way worse than we could ever imagine.
I'm trying to imagine. There's no worse. Of all the adult film which I have never seen, it's never ends up that bad. In any case, I digress. Let's get back to Mad Max, where that unfortunately does not happen in this one. And if it does, that's a different Mad Max.
Yeah, that's Max
Mad.
That's the Triple X weird.
That's a different
sadistic
film.
version. But,
so, in this dystopian fantasy, we catch a glimpse of what happens when a bunch of Oscar-winning and nominated actors get together with a substantially beautiful crew and pull off just movie magic. I can't stop praising this film enough. So I'm going to let Omar take it from here because I'm just going to overload it with how amazing it is and never really talk about the plot.
Yeah. Hey, bro, you ever heard of Kendrick? No. No, but yeah, so Mad Max is a good film. It's essentially playing on the fear of being an individual. And so it's basically like when somebody is leading and when somebody has the power or whatever, are you going to go with that? And most people in Mad Max say hell yeah, let's go with that. But there are some individuals like Max, who's a drifter, who says, I want to take back my own life and do things for myself. And that gets people into a lot of trouble. So that gets Max into trouble. It gets Furiosa into trouble. It gets the women that Furiosa was raised by into trouble. Being an individual gets people into trouble, but...
So what is the... Sorry to interrupt here. What is the reality, paralleled in reality, of that situation? We have an individual, a drifter, who's basically kidnapped, tortured, and turned into a human blood bank. And I personally thought they could have done a little bit better job with the blood banks, because if you're really a blood bank and they didn't want you to escape, they probably would have cut off your arms and legs and just had your ass sitting there as a quadruped strapped to a fucking needle.
Yeah, but then you don't have as much blood. You know what I mean?
Oh, you sick bastard. How would you think of that? So,
I'm just saying, there's a lot of blood flowing through you if you cut off... Imagine if you cut off just your finger, how much blood comes out of there.
I
you know what I mean? So it's like, they want to keep as much blood as possible. So they try and keep them, restrained as much as possible.
But whole. Okay. And also water is like the biggest commodity here. Clean water. Now that does speak to our current times, because water is becoming an ever more precious commodity, as cleverly depicted in The Big Short at the big end. Spoiler alert. In which case, this genius financial forecaster, played by Christian Bale, I'm not sure if he's a genius or a financial forecaster, but he's a well-paid actor. And basically, this guy, he went from the housing crisis and being way ahead of the curve, and now he invests all of his money and time into water resources. And I saw that, and I was like, fuck, this is going to end up like Mad Max. And the only question is, what character and crew are you going to ride and die with? Yeah,
this again goes back to our last podcast. Flint, Michigan. You guys still can't get no water. What's up with that? Come on now.
No, I mean, much love to Flint, Michigan. I am not happy with the politics happening in that Michigan region, in the way, I guess, America in general is treating them.
Yeah, Fly City, gotta keep on flying. Word to John Connor.
That is not fucking
Not
cool,
John
man.
Connor from Terminator.
There should be a fucking GoFundMe for Flint, Michigan.
I believe there's. I'm sure
I'll donate at least a fucking bottle of water.
I
It's
think
97 cents.
I think they need a little more than that. But
fuck it, I'll give them 10 bottles of water.
But yeah, it's rough situation in this
but that's
dystopian
kind of like the premise.
future.
That's something like Flint, Michigan, right? Like the government taints the water, right? They create the sickness. Now they sell you not the cure, but the treatment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how the whole Mad Max world ended up. And the world is like in a large drought. There's like the Great Plains. I've actually played through the video game of this based on this film. And most games off of films, do they suck or do they?
They suck. Usually.
They suck bad, right?
Yeah.
But this one was actually good. It reminded me a lot of the Batman franchise.
Oh yeah, those were good.
And like I don't know if you ever played Mafia 3, but it's very similar to that gameplay where there's like these little missions, you conquer those and go forth, and it kind of actually it's loosely based on the film, obviously, and it kind of expands a bit and shows like a greater universe. And there's not much water. Like you find like a broken toilet and he's drinking out of that shit.
Ugh.
And like you find a dead body and it's like there's maggots. You fucking eat maggots and that gives you health. So it gets bad, dog. It get like people are fucking fighting and dying over water.
Yeah, but that's how they created, or not created. That's how they envisioned this dystopian future.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, okay, there's a resource. Who has control of this resource? Why do they have control of this resource? And who is going to go against the grain? So the change in this film, the what is it? The point of conflict that starts
the inciting incident.
That's the word I was looking for.
How do these film degrees work again?
Film production degrees work a little differently. But no, the inciting incident is essentially Furiosa says, you know what? It's time to get these wives out
He has 4.
of this situation.
This greedy bastard has 4 wives in a time of drought.
Yeah.
In a fucking dystopian universe, and they are all bad.
Yeah, and so it's time to move. So she takes her giant truck of water and whatever else.
Yep, it's got water and and milk, and there's a fuck ton of gas,
Yeah.
and it has 2 engines. It is not the average semi-truck. This fucker has like 2 engines.
Yeah. So she's been planning this, and it's time to do it.
Yeah, because
Time
they
to
have to
make it
do a gas run. So there's like 3 principal locations where all these bad hombres are organized. One place makes oil, and I guess refines into gas, which is like another commodity. Completely fucks the earth. That's, they definitely depict that. They're just flaring them shits everywhere. One place makes bullets, right? So they kind of control the warfare, right? So there's always something to gain and trade.
Yeah.
And then the Imperator, his is water.
Yeah.
So water, bullets, and oil.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's hard to say like what's more important. I guess you could live without the oil, right?
Yeah.
If you don't leave and go anywhere, or at least by foot.
Yeah.
But to live without bullets means you're kind of defenseless, or you're limited. To live without water is just impossible.
Yeah. And so it's even harder to say, hey, I'm living in the water sector. I'm living in the bullet sector. Whatever sector you're living in, it's even harder to say, let me go against the person in charge and do my own thing. But that's exactly what Max, and Furiosa and certain people are doing. And that's what causes their whole stress.
Yeah. And they do not like each other. So no one trusts anyone at all. Enemies. Max, again, the drifter. Yeah, he's just a blood bank along for the ride, and he was fortunate enough to try to escape, and it kind of worked out. But they end up having to trust each other because they, enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. It's kind of like how countries kind of work. Like, you dedicate your life to your country. And this is not saying anything like against the militaries of different countries or whatever.
You might want to fictionalize the names before saying it out loud.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like, you dedicate yourself to your country is dedicated to you, but how much does your country really take care of you? You know what I mean? And if that's not working for you, what are you going to do about it? Well, you can talk to your senators, or you can do this or whatever.
Those useless shit.
Or you can overtake your government. And that's essentially what, at the end, or halfway through or whatever, they decide, well, we can't just leave. There's no other country for us to go to.
There's nothing in line of sight, and there's no clear map.
Yeah.
And even in the game, when you try to get to the Great Plains, you can try to walk out there, but there's like strong gusts of wind, and they do a good job, the developers, to create the narrative that the Great Plains is just not a habitable place, and you just won't last very long.
Yeah. So you can try and go there. If that doesn't work, then what else are you going to do? Overtake your government. And so that's kind of essentially where they end up trying to do. And
so their solution was, they lured them out, and then they just doubled back on them faster than they could, catch their own tails. But in reality,
it's a revolution. It's essentially like when like a civil war. We had our revolution trying to create a different government, create a different system for ourselves.
States' rights.
Yeah. That
Yeah. The right to do what, states? The right to do what?
Right. And it happens all over the place. Revolution is key to progress in our world, and probably in other worlds. Aliens, I'm watching you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nature.
And even in our space wars, our dedication to getting to the next planet or finding
J.J.
the next
Abrams
planet.
will tell you in every fucking Star Trek, spinoff, there's always some clash, right? It's the Kardashians, not the Kardashians. The Cardassians. You got the Romulans, the Klingons. I mean,
The Kardashians are probably aliens too, though. Let's be honest.
Oh man, you know what? I should edit their faces over all the Star Trek Cardassians and see if it changes the plot at all.
It's probably there. Somebody probably has that. Google it. It's probably there already.
Google's under a lawsuit. They have enough flack going on. I don't think they're on top of this. But I mean, so this thing was nominated for a